Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. MrWarrenHayes here, welcoming you to another exciting podcast. We're going to be talking about professional wrestling once again. Today is April 14, 2022. We've got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about the previous week in AEW, going over Rampage and Dynamite as well, as I do every week, of course, but very eventful Dynamite, and I'm excited to be able to talk about that a little bit. I'll also be reviewing New Japan Pro Wrestling's Hyper Battle 2022. Some wrestler contracts are coming up as well. Look, there's a lot of bits and bobs to talk about this week, so I'm really excited about it. Thank you very much for joining me here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes if you're watching the video on demand right now. Hey, you know what? Straight off the bat, give it a like. Drop in the comments. Why don't you let me know something that happened in wrestling this week that you really enjoyed or that you're looking forward to? Can be anything. What did you think about the Minoru Suzuki Samoa Joe match? Did you watch Hyper Battle, the New Japan show? What did you think about it? Did something happen in WWE that I'm maybe not quite aware of? Let me know. Let's talk about it. Drop a comment. I promise I'll get back to you really, really soon. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, thank you very much. By the way, have you considered leaving a review or a 5-star rating? You can do that. You can do the reviews, of course, on Apple Podcasts. You can do the 5-star ratings on Spotify. I don't know why I blanked out for a second there, but yeah, you can do that there as well, and that's fantastic. So if anything you can do to show some support there as well, much appreciated. And thank you very much in advance. Of course, if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can also become a channel member and you can have access to the members only streams as well. Plus, there's a Discord where the whole MrWarrenHayes community hangs out on and talks about wrestling on a daily basis. The links for all of that will be in the description. I also have another podcast where we talk about independent wrestling, which is called Hot Shakes and Hand Dogs, co-hosted by myself and Sean Taggart. We record that live every Tuesday night on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, but you've probably also seen that in your feeds popping up as well as a podcast. So give that a listen if you're interested in the wild world of independent wrestling. Got some great stuff that we talked about this week. The GCW shows. Go check it out. It's always a good time. And also, of course, don't forget to follow Bell to Bells, your women's wrestling wire, BELLTOBELLEES.com, or at youtube.com/BellToBells, or on Twitter @BellToBells. All great stuff happening. All sorts of cool stuff. Thank you very much for joining me once again for more great discussion about pro wrestling. I'm honored. I'm humbled. And I hope you enjoy all of the proceedings that are about to begin. Thank you very much. Why don't we start things off tonight with the continuing saga of me saying nice things about Bill Goldberg.
Warren Hayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg.
You know, he never cared that tribal tats around your biceps would fall out of style.
Warren Hayes has 52
What an
nice
icon.
things to say about Goldberg.
What an icon. What an icon that Bill Goldberg is. Holy hell. Just like forward thinking, fashion savvy. He didn't give a shit. Before we get into the weekly wrestling inspection proper, just wanted to talk about Shinjiro Otani very, very quickly. He sustained a cervical spinal cord injury in the main event of 0-1's April 10 show, so just a couple of days ago, after taking a German suplex into the turnbuckles. After the maneuver, Otani was not able to move. Soon after the match ended, Otani was taken to a nearby hospital. Today, he underwent successful surgery, and we were told that everything went as planned, whatever that exactly means, but that was that was what was put out there. The next step of his treatment is going to begin afterwards, so hopefully things will go out. His wife even released a statement I'll read it here verbatim, translated via postwrestling.com. I married a professional wrestler, Shinjiro Otani, so I was prepared to accept a situation like this. But when I think of Shinjiro's disappointment, I cry. However, we will not look down, but forward, and with the help of pro wrestling, we will continue to support Mr. Shinjiro. We will do our best with your warm support. We hope that you will continue to watch over us warmly. Finally, I would like to ask for your continued support for 01 and all the wrestlers that Mr. Shinjiro has been protecting. Yeah, listen, we wish him the best. We definitely wish him the best in this very, 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 very trying situation. All right, let's go right into the, wait a second, weekly wrestling inspection. There we go. So, I put out a poll this week because there's a whole bunch of little things I wanted to talk about, and there's some bigger things I wanted to talk about. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna leave it up to the live crowd here to tell me. I wanted to let the live crowd tell me, basically what you guys would like me to start talking about tonight. What would be the first thing? What would captivate you? Start chatting here. Well, 76% of the live audience of the MrWarrenHayes show said that they wanted me to start talking about AEW. So you know what? Here I am. Doing what the people want. That's what I do. I'm going to go right in. But, oh, well, there we go. Just as I'm jumping in, J.K. Schwal left a super chat. Thank you very much, J.K. Schwal. He says, happy to say I survived SmackDown last week. Please clap. What a trooper. What a soldier. Everyone press A in the chat for J.K. Schwal sitting through 2+ hours of SmackDown on a Friday night. Kudos to you. And J.K. Schwal was feeding me information, like telling me Charlotte and Ronda is the main event, is the dark main event, and I'm like, Jesus. I've got some stuff to sprinkle on in regards to WWE, but we'll get to that in the bits and bobs spot. Let's go back to last Friday, AEW Rampage, which I thought was an exceptional Rampage, right? And not just because of the main event. I thought the whole shebang was extremely good. And it got good ratings, which I'm not surprised because it was a good show. It was well hyped. Let's get to it. It started off with Bryan Danielson defeating Trent Beretta in the opener. And what an opener. Like, if you're going to... I'm telling you guys, the magic formula that AEW has figured out. Hot opener, hot finisher. Everything else, like, in the middle is a mixture of things. You got your good matches to your great matches. You got your promos. You got all sorts of stuff in the middle, right? But a hot open, hot finish, and go figure, makes for a really entertaining show. And on top of it, an hour of wrestling here. So just fantastic. And Trent looked really, really good in this match. No big surprise, though. He pescados onto Danielson, who's on the outside, but he gets gut kicked as a counter. Trent then later does a Saito suplex and a superplex. Danielson responds with a regal plex and a dragon sleeper. Bryan, he strikes Trent into a half and half suplex, followed by a lariat, which was a really fun little sequence. But look, this is how Bryan Danielson, Dambrell Bradenson is ending his matches these days. He Busaku knee, the gotch, pile driver, the head kicks, and the label lock. That's sort of been his formula, right? It's kind of like Okada these days. It's like, he does drop kick, landslide, Rainmaker, you're done. So I dig it. I mean, it's okay to have a little. I think I preferred when we're just shooting the shit here. Like, there's no big deal. Like, I really find this entertaining. Don't get me wrong. We're just if we're just shooting this shit here, I liked it a few months ago when Daniel Bryan would end a match with anything. He just like he wouldn't have a finisher per se. You just finish a match. Just, okay, I'm gonna hit you really hard with this. And, oh, okay, kind of thing. It's not that I miss it. I'm just pointing it out. It's like a few months ago he was like anything. Now he's got his routine set up, but it's great. Busaku knee, Gotch pile driver, head kicks, label lock. Thank you. Good night. Good opener. Swerve Strickland defeated QT Marshall. It was fine. It was a Swerve showcase match. That's all you really needed against QT Marshall, whose job is to put over the star talent and make them look good in the process. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Here's where you know it was an eventful Rampage. When this didn't get talked half as much as it probably should have. The Owen Hart Foundation's women's tournament qualifying match, Red Velvet defeating Willow Nightingale. Now the story here is Willow Nightingale, where she charmed the pants off of the entire audience who was there. If you didn't know who Willow Nightingale was at that point in time, you sure as hell know now. Comes in with the big power moves, does some body shots and a suplex. She goes for a moonsault. Red Velvet rolls out of the way. Red Velvet hits the Just Desserts, but Nightingale kicks out. She hits a spine buster, which got the crowd up on their feet, and then the pounce. And that just blew the lid off. Now, any match that Willow has when she does the pounce just blows the lid off the place. I saw Willow a couple of weeks ago at C4 live. And when she does the pounce, man, people just go nuts for it. And the thing here is that Red Velvet, who is well liked, usually, gets the win, but she's booed because the crowd have been up on their feet for Willow Nightingale the entire while. Now, here's the thing. There is absolutely no way that Tony Khan did not notice that crowd reaction. And Tony Khan, as far as his booking goes, he has this, you want to say old school, but actually should be like regular normal school type of booking, where if you see something happening in the ring, if something happening in the ring is generating a big response from your audience and people are attaching themselves to someone, you adjust your booking accordingly, right? Which is why we've seen shit like the Nightmare family, the Nightmare, what were they called? The Brandy's family of nightmares. You know that thing? At first, that wasn't getting over. They pulled the plug on it. Paige wasn't getting over it first. They pivoted on it. FTR and the Bucks convinced when maybe a month ago, 3 weeks, a month ago, when FTR and the Bucks were in one of these gauntlet matches. No, it was in one of the gauntlet matches or multi-man matches for the All Out thing, and not the All Out, the Revolution match. You had FTR and the Bucks in the middle of the ring who just walk up to each other. Crowd goes nuts. That spot is planned purposefully so that Tony Khan can look at him and be like, oh, okay, so there's still interest for this. And that is how a wrestling promoter should book. Try some stuff out, see what hits, and adjust accordingly. Which is why I'm convinced we got Young Bucks and FTR too so soon, because it was hot before FTR got blazing hot, and it just made it even hotter. Why am I talking about all of this? because because he gauges off of crowd reactions. He has a woman, like an occasional signee, an occasional talent that he brings in, a short lister, right? Because he's used her on Ring of Honor with Mercedes Martinez, and she's been on Dark a few times. Clearly he likes her. Clearly he sees something in her. Now he puts her in a ring. The crowd goes nuts for her. What do you do, Tony? What do you do? I'll tell you what you do. You give Willow Nightingale the goddamn graphic. Because you got a woman who has an immediate connection with the audience, who knows how to get the audience invested in her. And she has an energy that no one else on your roster has right now. She's big, strong, athletic. She can go. I've talked about this for a while now. Willow Nightingale, from 18 months ago up until this point, has improved dramatically on every facet of the game. And we're going to talk about the women's division a little later on. But when you have someone who has these naturals, who is so comfortable in the ring, plus knows how to work a goddamn crowd, what are you waiting for, Anthony? And in the main event, of course. Oh, hi, Heather. Nice to see you. Welcome. And of course, in the main event, Jon Moxley defeated Wheeler Yuta. But what look, I mean, it's all been said at this point. It's been a week since it's happened. Star-making performance. Fantastic, great match. To me right now, it's on my match of the year list, but it's on the lower end. I don't know if it's going to make it, but because we still have 7 months to go. And New Japan is warming up. So back to this though. Fantastic, man. Yuta, Wheeler just came in here and had the perfect story, and they told the story perfectly. He had something to prove. That was his thing. So what does he do? He says, I got to prove that I'm tough, that I'm ready to do everything needed to win. He attacks Moxley before the bell. Because of course, that's what I do. You think I'm going to play fair with Jon Moxley? You think I'm going to be like sportsmanship, shake hand, code of honor with Jon Moxley? Nah, I'm at least going to get some licks in before he kicks my face down my throat, kind of thing. Kicking your face, having your face kicked down your throat. It's a hell of a visual. Painful. They go in the audience, and Utes bleeds. And Jesus Christ, does he bleed. Like, our boy's a bleeder. You all saw the pictures at this point, right? With the sprinklers. You know. Mox manhandles him in the ring. There's a superplex by Mox over the knee backbreaker. Flying crossbody to the floor through a table by Wheeler Yuta. He does a trap suplex on Mox, and then he does his own head stomps. Goes for a splash. He covers. It gets reversed into a crossface. Yuta flies off the top turnbuckle at some point, gets caught right into a paradigm shift, covers. Yuta kicks out. Knee strikes by Mox, and Yuta asks for more. He rolls up Moxley and into a bulldog choke. Moxley fights out, gets the hammer elbows in, regal knee, high angle paradigm shift, covers, but Yuta kicks out again! Our boy is covered in blood. Bulldog choke. Puts Utes away. What a fantastic match. Absolutely, undeniably, a mainstream wrestling star was created. This guy was given the floor. And they just had an absolutely fantastic seminal match. Can't recommend it enough if you haven't seen it. I don't know how you actually go around saying, well, you know, there's ways. I don't condone them. But just an absolutely phenomenal match. And after you have Danielson and Regal who come to the ring, Regal extends a hand. Yuta shakes it. He spells BCC on his chest in his blood. He becomes an official member of the Blackpool Combat Club. What a fucking great group. What a fucking great group! Couldn't ask for anything better. Everything works. Let's go back. Dig up the archives of the MrWarrenHayes show. And as everyone was, you know, going nuts over CM Punk and MJF, and with reason, you know, in the build-up to Revolution, what was I telling you guys? Week after week, I was telling you the best thing on AEW right now so far is the Mox-Danielson feud. It's the best thing that they have going right, that they were running into Revolution. I'm on the record. I've told you this. And now it's gotten even better. They've become allies with William Regal, and then they make a star out of a kid, out of Wheeler Yuta, who was destined to make it in wrestling. But he's getting the shove, he's getting the push. And by the way, this is what a push looks like. WWE fans, this is what a push looks like. It's not winning, it's not suddenly being put in a title picture. This is it. Fantastic stuff. God, I love wrestling. Let's keep on going down the AEW train. Choo choo. Last night's Dynamite from New Orleans. What a fucking hot crowd. What an amazingly hot crowd. Right? Amazing. That crowd was ready for everything. And boy, did it deliver. What a show. Couple of low points, but we'll get to those. But that's the thing, is that the low points are ultimately so insignificant in the mass of great things that happen. And you know what? Here's another thing. Again, like the formula started off with a hot match, finished with a hot match, right? First and foremost. And I like this thing that Tony Khan's been doing for the past, at least since Revolution. Ditching promos within the first half hour, first 45 minutes. Just giving us matches. You guys know, it's like, give me matches. And last night, look, if you were a promo guy, if you're one of these people who tells me, well, thankfully, you know, on a 3-hour Raw, there's not only wrestling because that would get boring. If you're one of those, last night's Dynamite wasn't for you. But for me, like, it's as if this show was made for Warren Hayes. I was like, good. Minimal nonsense. All business. And when there was, I call it nonsense, but I say it lovingly. When there was nonsense, when they had nonsense, it was so well done in the ring. It made sense, and you were like, look, this is not distracting me. This all connects. Starts off the show with a match that everyone sort of lost their shit over. Penta Oscuro and CM Punk, and why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go nuts when you see this? Like, holy shit, you're just giving this away on a Dynamite? Tony? Really? Thank you. It's a strong match that we got too. Fun little instance here, you know, Punk goes for a dive. He does the dive and he starts selling his knee. Then shortly after that, he goes for a Rana, but he doesn't do it. He falls off, right? He falls off the ropes, and Penta sort of tumbles down too. And I like that. And I was like, oh, did he botch? Well, no, because then he gets Irish whipped into the corner and he can't run, so he tumbles over. Because his knee. And I'm like, this is how, look, are we starting to see a new type like of working injury? Because, you know, it wasn't one of these over-exaggerated where he's on the top rope and he goes, and he's pointing to his knee. No, it's like, oh shit, was that a botch? But it turned out it wasn't. He's just working the injury very convincingly. And I am 100% convinced that the GIF nerds out on Twitter, they picked up on him like, botched by CM Punk, but didn't watch the entire match. Because of course they're not, because they're GIF nerds. And they don't watch AEW. They don't watch wrestling, they watch the GIFs. Because it wasn't a botch. It might have been, at first you're sort of like, And you know what? That's what wrestlers should make you believe. That they are legitimately injured. That's what the work is. Working a body part. I'm trying to run on my knee. I can't. I collapse. Fantastic shit. There's an arm breaker by Penta that it's reversed into an Anaconda Vice. CM Punk avoids the package pile driver. So, what does Penta do? He goes for the arm breaker again. No big deal. They roll in and out of pins. Penta flies off a springboard, but he gets caught on Punk's shoulders, who hits him with the GTS. And Punk had a lot of trouble trying to land the GTS on Penta, which I appreciated. And Penta should not be an easy foe, right? He shouldn't be an easy opponent. Shouldn't be able to just land your finisher out of nowhere. I like the struggle. And it's a kind of a bit of a out of nowhere kind of finish where I'm like, look, if these guys want to run it again, I can buy that Penta will do it. CM Punk gets the win. Building up that credibility in the rankings, right? To get up there and you know, let's do that. Let's raise his profile so that when Double or Nothing time comes along, he's ready to challenge for the title. Completely okay with that. The AEW World Tag Team titles were also on the line. Dino 210 successfully retained their titles by defeating Red Dragon, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. This was a lot of fun. That's what I'm telling you guys. You get yourself some hot matches out of the way. Boom, boom. Starts up, keeps you captivated. Sinks its claws into you, and you're like, Jesus, this is great. There's a fun exchange between Bobby Fish and Jungle Boy at the onset of the match that I would even qualify a confident exchange by Jungle Boy. And I think this is something that I've started observing over the past couple of months, and how much confidence Jungle Boy is exuding now in the ring. As even even 7-8 months ago, there's something where he's a lot more in control now. The way he handles himself, his comfort in the ring, the way he sort of plays for the camera, so on and so forth, his facial expressions. Now he's starting to flesh out a persona for himself in ring, his swagger, his wrestling personality, I guess. And it's working, because I thought that he looked very much in control here with Bobby Fish, and it was fantastic. Jungle Boy does the double dives, goes for the third, right? But Red Dragon move out of the way. But instead, Luchasaurus hits a top rope somersault senton. So, you got played, Red Dragon. Kyle O'Reilly hits a dragon screw on the ropes on Jungle Boy's leg. And he gets taken out by Bobby Fish on the apron. There's some great teamwork with Red Dragon. And it's still something that I don't think we underscore enough as to how good O'Reilly and Fish are together. They really, really are. So Luchasaurus, later on in the match, he gets caught into a front standing guillotine by Kyle O'Reilly. Meanwhile, Bobby Fish gets Jungle Boy up on the top rope, and he hits an avalanche Falcon Arrow, like over. He hits it over the guillotine, the standing guillotine. Covers. Luchasaurus just then dumps O'Reilly on the pin to break it up. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Big strikes, a DDT by Jungle Boy, a tail whip, and they hit the Jurassic Express for the win. Now, we have to be clear on this now. They are no longer called Jurassic Express. They're being introduced, I guess now that Marco made the Jurassic Express. The trio was the Jurassic Express, because now they're back to being Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, or as I like to call them, Dino 210. I think it's a much better way to identify them. And the move is called the Jurassic Express. So it's kind of like when the Viking Raiders, it's kind of like when War Machine became the Viking Experience, but then everyone was like, what a shit name. And then they became the Viking Raiders, but the finisher was called the Viking Experience. So it's the same trajectory. After the match, Kyle O'Reilly attacks them with a chair. FTR come out to a big reaction from the crowd. But the crowd was all about big reactions, regardless. That New Orleans crowd was fire. And FTR come out and they get into a shoving match with Red Dragon, where pointing to the ROH titles. I'm like, oh, yeah, let's do this now. Fifth generation Carney Joseph with it. Hello and welcome to the chat. Nice to see you. We get an interview backstage with the Blackpool Combat Club. They say they'll be facing in a trios match the Gun Club on Friday. John Moxley says, I don't know who the Gun Club are, but I don't like the Gun Club. Like, you know, your basic, like, look, I'm breaking this promo down. Like, I don't know who these guys are. Oh, I'm fighting them? Then I don't like them. Like, there's something so natural and pure about a John Moxley promo. William Regal has a bit. Brian Danielson has a bit. John Moxley has a bit. And Yuta has a bit. Now, as great as Yuta is, you know, he's going to have to step up his promo game. Especially if he wants to start hanging out with Mox and Danielson, who are great promos, and Regal. We're all, you know, good to great promos, right? He's going to have to step it. But you know what? Kid's having the time of his life right now. He's wrestling with... He's in a group. He's wrestling alongside one of his heroes. Like, come on. It's legends. 3 fucking legends. And don't tell me that this is not good for the kid. Don't tell me that this is not how truly developing a talent is. Putting a young guy, getting him in there with 3 true to form legends of the business. One of them being, quite arguably, the greatest North American wrestler of all time. Bryan Danielson, if you're keeping score. You know? Because trust me, when William Regal calls him the perfect wrestler, that's a shoot. He believes it. He knows that it's true. We also get a backstage face-to-face interview with Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm, where it's announced that they are going to be. Okay, I'm sorry. That they announced that they are going to be facing each other in the first round of the Owen. Fantastic. You want to get people excited for your tournament? That's what you do. You give them high caliber matches like this. Trust me. Sean Dean defeated MJF. What? That's right. by countout. So look, there's not much to the match here. This is what I was telling you about. You know, when you're keeping nonsense to a minimum, right? When I talk, and again, I say nonsense lovingly, but you know, when too many promos, 8-minute promos, so on and so forth, this is an angle that happens in the ring. It happens in real time. There's no like promos and so all, you know, vignettes and bullshit. And it's like, you're making this progress in the context of a wrestling match. I'm okay with this. So there's not much to the match, but that's not the point. The point is the angle here. Wardlow snuck into the building. He beat up some dudes, right? And he sneaks into the building and he sneaks up behind MJF in the crowd. He has mask and security t-shirt on. And you know, because I popped. I'll tell you, because when they go backstage, a detail nonetheless, but when they go backstage to show the security guards like passed out, one dude doesn't have a shirt on. And I'm like, why the fuck does this dude doesn't have it? Where's his security shirt? Like, did Wardlow just tear it off him and strangle him with it? Like, you know, but no, it's because Wardlow took it off and he's Scooby-Doo'd. He's Scooby-Doo'd everyone. He got into the uniform, the hat, the mask, and he snuck up behind MJF. And I was big reaction from me when I saw that. It's good stuff. So he goes after Max. Of course, MJF hits the bricks. He gets chair shotted by Sean Spears, but he completely no-sells it, and he's about to powerbomb Spears. But then he gets bum rushed by like wave after wave of security. It's like when you're playing StarCraft and you send in a Zerg rush. That's it. Shout out to anyone who gets that. Just like wave after wave of security guards coming after him, and they're all holding him. Wardlow's like punching dudes and Meanwhile, Bryce Remsburg is in the ring and he's counting down. He's counting MJF out. Sean Dean's in the ring. MJF is, he's running for his life. MJF tries to get back in the ring, but there's too many people and he's scared shitless of Wardlow, so he runs back up the ramp to commentary, grabs a microphone, and as Remsburg is about to count the 10, he's at 9. He goes, 9! And MJF starts pleading with him. He says, look, Remsburg, I don't know what Tony Khan pays you, but I'll pay you 2 times as much, 3 times as much if you don't count me out. Don't count me out. And Remsburg's like, fuck you, 10! Just, the place, of course, comes unglued. Our boy Sean Dean gets his second win on MJF and the first count-out victory in the history. So he had the first disqualification win in the history of AEW, and now he has the first count-out win. So that's a fun little story, the little side story being told there. I think it's fun. I enjoyed this. I like this. You want to tell me about building stories and doing shit. This is how you do it. And look at how much people love Wardlow. When Wardlow unmasked behind MJF, that crowd went nuts. There was that one guy next to the barricade who's like this. And he was jumping up and down with his hands on his fantastic shit. That's the kind of stuff you want. But they are doing such a good job. A good, solid job with Wardlow. And Wardlow is perfect for what they want to do in this. Like, this is simple. The booking is so simple, it's brilliant. But it's basic. It's so just playing off the strengths of everyone involved. MJF's a chicken shit. Wardlow's a big tough dude. Just as simple as that. They've been doing this so well. I'm really ecstatic to see how this and poo-poo to everyone who were saying Wardlow buried because he didn't win the Sonic ring at Revolution. Yeah, Wardlow's done. Poo-poo on all of you. Poo-poo. They're doing it well. Extremely well. A little later on, MJF is having a... Alex Marvez is trying to have a little fun at MJF's expense, but MJF is like, Marvez, fuck you! Fuck you, Marvez, you're not shut up! But basically in this little setup here, Mark Sterling was there as well. MJF was like, look, I'll let you wrestle next week, but an opponent of my choosing, and you're going to be wrestling The Butcher, and you know what? Fantastic. Just slap, slap, slap. Good stuff. The Jericho Appreciation Society arrive via plane in their own little private jet. And they land, and as you recall last week, right? Eddie Kingston promised us that it was on site with these dudes. So Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz arrived before the plane landed, and they attacked 2.0, and they stole the car that they had rented for the Jericho Appreciation Society, and they left. So that was to ensure that 2.0 wouldn't get involved in the match. So that would be fair. So a 3-on-3 match in this match here. But the Jericho Appreciation Society, made up of Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia, and Jake Hager, defeated Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. Of course, Eddie Kingston came out. Well, I mean, of course. He came out with a Thump t-shirt in reference to Junkyard Dog. The Thump being his, well, I think JR even explained it was his finisher. A big power slam called the Thump. But it was written like, Dog had that on his booty, on his trunks. And in the same type of Cooper font. Nice little touch there. Because, of course, Junkyard Dog was from New Orleans. So, there you go. And Ortiz had Angelo Parker's shoes around his neck. He had stolen them and he had tied them and they were around his neck. Lots of brawling in this match. Eddie keeps going after Daniel Garcia in this match, which I was like, what? Why is he so hell-bent on just taking on Garcia? Because all he does, he runs and he grabs him off the apron and just boom, boom. Okay, but sure, it worked. That's fine. Butterfly suplex by Eddie Kingston as well. Santana does the Three Amigos and a frog splash for your tribute to Eddie Guerrero. And not to be outshined here, Ortiz does an Alabama Jam. Diving sentons by both Santana and Ortiz to the floor. Jericho, though, uses the bat as referee Aubrey Edwards is distracted to allow Daniel Garcia to roll to get the pin on Eddie Kingston. And after the match, the babyfaces get the shit beat out of them because 2.0 do eventually show up. And Angelo Parker's still barefoot. He only has one pair of shoes. He didn't even bring his gear and put his working boots on. No, he's still barefoot because he's a dork. But they all beat up on the babyfaces after. They have to start adding numbers, right? At this point, they have. I mean, Kingston's troupe he has to start adding people in there, doesn't he? Marina Shafir defeated Sky Blue. This was not good. Jade Cargill is watching backstage because they're building Marina Shafir to being this big challenger for Jade. She might be the one kind of thing, but this wasn't it. This was not a good wrestling match, and probably look. I was somewhat. Okay. I'm trying to say too many things at once. I think, first and foremost, putting Marina Shafir in this position where she's the Jade Killer was a little ill-advised to start off, because I think that she doesn't have the recognition amongst fans to be like, oh yeah, Marina Shafir, she's gonna twist Jade's head off, kind of thing, you know? So to put her, Shafir, in this position straight off the bat is not a good idea, especially since Shafir has been wrestling on Dark, mostly having pretty good matches on top of that, but here just completely fell apart. Just clunky, awkward, and you can't even put this on Sky Blue, who is not the person in her level of experience. And I'm not saying she's stupid or she can't do it. At her level of experience, she is not going to be the person who is going to turn around on a dime, see that their partner is struggling in the ring, and be like, okay, well, I'll try and carry this. She's not there yet. Clash of Styles, sure, I can also buy into the Clash of Styles thing. So why book the match against Sky Blue? You know, ultimately. And the match was long, overly long. I don't know why it took so long. And to the point where I'm like, they could have put anyone in that ring with Shafir, and I'm not sure the result would have been any better. I don't think Marina is ready for the spot, but it's a very ungrateful spot that she's being put into. Coming out of nowhere. Like, this is very, oh, it's your turn. Like, whoop, pulling her out, dropping her there. It's like, now it's your turn. Make this happen kind of thing. You have to convince this audience that you're the Jade Killer. And she's going to put Shafir, who, you know, talented MMA artist, that's fine. Didn't see much in wrestling. We don't really know how good or great she can be. And honestly, this was all ill-advised. This was all ill-advised. And I was reserving judgment because I was like, look, I've seen Shafir's matches on Dark. They're fine. They're pretty good. I think she does a good job. I don't think she had the dance partner last night on Wednesday for her to get over as whatever, like the juggernaut, the judo mixed martial artist killer machine. Is that what they were going for? Because I'm not even sure. She'd just stare. This was not good, and there's no sugarcoating it. There's no going like, well, this was a bad decision. Now, if I'm Tony Khan, you know, as I was saying a little earlier, if Tony Khan is looking at this as, you know, as he was watching the, you know, if he's watching the Willow match and he's gauging the reaction, he's going, okay, I should sign her. Or he's looking at the reactions for the Nightmare family, whatever it was, the Nightmare Collective. There's no, this stinks. If I'm Tony Khan and I see this match, I'm getting rid of the Shafir Jade setup. Because let's be honest with each other. Jade is not a seasoned veteran by any stretch of the imagination, right? Now, I've said more than enough times that Jade has leaps and bounds improved. She is an absolute star. She's perfect for what they want her to do. But if you put Jade in the ring with someone who can't carry her own, it's not going to be Jade who's going to carry her. Because Jade is even, overall, she has even less experience than Sky Blue does. She's still a literal rookie. And this is not a knock. But she's not going to be able to carry. She's not going to be able to carry Marina. And you know what this happens? Then what happens? Then everyone gets exposed. Then Jade gets exposed. And it's not good. So if I'm Tony Khan and I look at what happened and I looked at the crowd reaction, which was nothing for this entire thing, for even the entrances, nothing. That crowd last night, which was hot for everything on that card, that should be an indication that this set of booking was ill-advised. It was a bad idea. A terrible idea. Pivot away from Marina Shafir. Find another opponent for Jade. Let Jade, if anything, let Jade for a couple of weeks continue doing the baddies thing. Continue having her come out and cutting to her awesome promos like she did last week. That legend of a promo that she did last week. Have her come out, continue doing that without having to deal with half-assed competitors. But then, in the meantime, build someone. Because that's not what he's been doing with Marina Shafir. He just decided, Marina. And then creates the situation. So, ultimately, what this says to me is Tony Khan is not helping his women's division by putting out this kind of stuff. By doing this kind of shit. This is not helping his division. He's got so many people still out there. And there are still people out there who he hasn't signed and who can go and could probably help even Jade in the ring to continue to help her grow. Get a Mia Yim in. Call in an Athena. Willow Nightingale. And everyone is going to buy that these women have a shot at dethroning Jade. No one looked at that match last night on Rampage, on Dynamite, and said Marina Shafir has a shot. No one. And not only does she not have a shot, if she gets into the ring with Jade, it's gonna stink. For the sake of your women's division, Tony Khan, do not do this. Pivot to all the strong women that for some reason you're keeping on reserve, putting on dark and whatnot. Pivot to them. Shafir's not ready. This is the message that was shot out clear. Look, there's probably a reason why the match hasn't been officially announced, right? Like they're building to it. But that's probably why the match hasn't been announced. Because Tony was like, oh, well, we're going to test the waters out first. And that's fair. That's okay. But moving forward, like this program has to be scrapped. It has to be scrapped. You have to go over something else. And focus on the strong, capable elements of your women's division. They're there. They are there. God damn it. Jade and Mercedes Martinez. I know. Run it. Apparently they've been training and everything together. That's how... Mercedes, world-class athlete, has been doing this for over 2 decades. She'll be able to work Jade out of rough spots. Not Sky Blue, not Marina Shafir. This is a train wreck if this continues down the tracks. Team Taz, made up of Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, defeated Keith Lee and Swerve. What? But yes, what an awesome reaction. Again, but particularly awesome for Ricky Starks, hometown boy, coming in. And you could tell he was emotional. Good match. Again, great spots too. You have Swerve launching himself off of Keith Lee's chest to perform a moonsault, a Nasai moonsault kind of thing, but off of Keith Lee's chest. Great shit. Keith Lee avoids a Hobbs spear by leapfrogging him. Fantastic. Rolling strike by Swerve is interrupted by a spear by Ricky Starks, which was pinpoint perfect in its accuracy. Just great stuff. Taz comes out. There's a slingshot spear by Ricky Starks, a 450 by Swerve. Taz trips up Keith Lee, which allows Hobbs to hit a massive spine buster for the win. Will Hobbs looks like $1,000 million. I don't think he's looked this good since he started on AEW. He just looks fantastic. And you know what? This feud rocks. This feud officially rocks, and I hope it keeps going. I hope it keeps going and going and going. I think there's a lot of juice to squeeze out of this. I love it. I love what these four guys do together. They're very, very strong. Very good. Talented guys. And all guys who are over in their own right. No slouches. No one here that the audience goes like, maybe not that guy. Hobbs, Lee, Swerve, Starks, are you kidding me? That's what a healthy mid-card looks like, folks. And that's why more effort should be put in to the goddamn women's division so that we don't end up with women that we're pushing out of nowhere and who aren't ready for the push and putting them in matches with literal rookies. And then going, well, you wanted women's matches, but no, it's not it. Then we had this segment with the cake, which is kind of a throwaway, but I want to mention the cake thing with Thunder Rosa for two things. The first reason is because of Nyla's line when she was off camera after ramming Thunder Rosa into the road cases, where she said, "I love cake and I love violence." And I'm like, Nyla Rose is great. And again, this promo segment shows once more, that Vicky Guerrero is useless to Nyla Rose. Useless. She brings nothing to the table because Nyla Rose is a fantastic promo. And she ad-libs these funny quips that are just like perfectly within character, just completely absurd wrestling bullshit that I love. Vicky brings nothing extra to this act. Stop it. Nyla Rose does not need Vicky Guerrero. Stop. And then the main event defurled on us. What a fucking match. Ring of Honor World Television Title match on AEW Dynamite on a Wednesday night on TBS, on TSN2, on Skybox Sports or wherever. Samoa Joe defeated Minoru Suzuki to become the new ROH TV champion. A singles championship in Ring of Honor that has eluded Joe. He's a world champion. He's a pure champion. And I'm pretty sure he was tag champions at some point. Never was TV champion. There you go. Grand slam for our boy Samoan Joseph. Just slaps. Just slaps. Chops. Just look. We're in Minoru Suzuki, Hiromu Takahashi territory here. Someone counted the number of chops that Suzuki and Hiromu shared. I feel like someone needs to do that. I do it, but I don't want to. I want someone else to do it. Okay? Is that so wrong? Their chests are impossibly red. And honestly, you don't see Suzuki's chest get that crimson that often. You really don't. And they're chopping each other like for 3-4 minutes straight. Going straight at each other. Finally, Samoa Joe shoulder blocks Suzuki down. They start laying into each other some more. They start trading headbutts at some point. Suzuki does some limb work. Powerbomb by Joe into an STF, where I was like, don't forget, Joe knows how to wrestle. It's kind of like, that's good shit. Suzuki gets back up at some point. He's like, one more time. Slap, slap. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Suzuki avoids getting into the muscle buster. He's up on the top turnbuckle corner and he's trying to armbar Joe. But eventually Joe gets it. Gets the muscle buster for the win. Really fun, good match, strong match. I saw a lot of people going out there saying this was probably Suzuki's best North American match, and because he's been running the indie circuit, right? Recently, he's been doing that a lot, and I've watched a lot of his matches over WrestleMania weekend. He did a lot of those, and Sean and I talked about it on our independent wrestling podcast, which you should watch by subscribing right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. It happens live every Tuesday. We talked about it this week where, Suzuki has a formula when he works the indies. There's a Suzuki formula to his matches when he works the indies in North America. And not a lot of people have dragged him out of that formula. Joe here obviously did, but then Suzuki's no moron at the same time. He knows the a big stage, national television. This will probably end up on New Japan World as well. So it's like, no, it's we're going all out, so it's a big deal. Championship defense, blah blah blah. But a lot of people were saying, oh, this is the best match I've seen from Suzuki since he fought Danielson. I saw Speedball Mike Bailey get the best match out of Minoru Suzuki in this tour so far. I would say that it is different than the Joe match. Two completely different styles. Where the Joe match is, like Motown Slim pointed out in the chat, like an AGPW style match. Whereas Mike Bailey gets the wrestler out. He gets the Minoru Suzuki wrestler out, and at the end of the match, Minoru Suzuki, he wins the match. Obviously, pulls Speedball Mike Bailey up, lifts his arm and points to him, and Suzuki hits the bricks to leave Bailey in the ring for the final salute, which is a big deal because Suzuki never wants to shake hands with anyone after. He just beats them down. That was a big deal and a really good match. Happened at GCW Devil in a New Dress just this weekend. But don't get me wrong, the Joe match was fantastic. Imagine the Speedball one, which I still think is the best match that they got out of Suzuki. Look, fantastic stuff. Great main event. Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal pop up. They said, hey, you remember last week, we promised that you'd get a surprise from us. We have a present for you. Here's the present. There's a box and they open it and there's a middle finger. We're like, boo. But no, the lights go out. Sabu? Wouldn't be that lucky. No, not Sabu. Satnam Singh appears in the ring as the lights come back up. Who? Satnam Singh. 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 You know, the basketball player who played like for a couple of seasons in the Dallas Mavericks for the Dallas Mavericks and then was like in the junior leagues, I think. Like, I don't follow basketball, you know. He's in the ring and he's an enormous mountain of humanity, if we're being very honest. And he comes in, lands the most awkward clothesline on Samoa Joe. Then Dutt and Lethal jump into the ring and they beat him down. And it seems like he's going to be Jay Lethal's heater. And look, he was signed in 2021, in September 2021. There was some, there was a buzz around it when it happened. It was like, wait, what's going on? Who is this guy? And look, he's like 7'3", 7'3". He's just shy of 300 pounds. Like, he's a big dude, right? He's a big dude for wrestling. Wrestling has a history of liking these, big freak show dudes, and it's like, well, here we go. Now, we're going to break this down a bit because this is the part, because you see, this is the thing that everyone ended up talking about, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's exactly like when MJF and CM Punk had their first match on Dynamite, a legend of a match. And all people could talk about was fucking Brandy Rhodes and her shitty promo. And that's all people were talking about. And I'm like, we're witnessing a great wrestling match right before our eyes. And I swear to God, sometimes, most of the time, wrestling Twitter should be called, be rebaptized to let's talk about everything but the wrestling Twitter. Now, was the angle weird? Yes. Was the ending disappointing? Yes. You have a hot crowd for the entirety of your show that is up on their feet for everything they're doing. They're like, Tony, feed us everything. We love it. Like, it's literally if someone is shooting ice cream at the audience and the audience like, oh, and they're just gobbling it all up and there's ice cream all over them. They don't care because they're like, look at all this ice cream we're getting. This is a fantasy of mine, by the way, that I just enacted for you. Someone taking a hose of ice cream and shooting it right at me, and I'm like, the mouth is here, but I'm getting ice cream everywhere. I'm like, keep on. And it hurts, right? Because it's a jet of ice cream. It's painful. It stings. There's pressure against my skin, my flesh, my face. But I don't care. It's ice cream. So this audience is losing their minds for everything you're doing. You shut the lights down and they're like, oh shit, a surprise. And the lights come up and it's like, who is this big dude in a suit? Because no one knows who he is. Nobody in the audience knows who this dude is. When you turn the lights off and you bring them back on, usually that means a surprise. It means that you're bringing in someone you know, someone the audience knows, of course, every single time. So yes, the show fell flat because of that angle, or at least the ending. I don't want to say the show, but the ending fell flat because of that ending, because everything on the card outside of the Shafir Sky Blue match was electric. That crowd was up on their feet for everything. Now, there's reports coming out, and I think it's the Observer, right? It's Dave Meltzer saying that this was done apparently to build a bridge or throw a bone or whatever the expression you want to call. You want to use send out feelers. No, maybe not send out feelers, but do something in good faith for the new Time Warner Discovery merger, the new bosses basically, who have aspirations for India, and they're like, well, look, we'll start building an Indian star. How many times has that worked in the past? Look, I'm going to let people who have the business analytics in front of them, like maybe one of our boys, like, Brandon Thurston over at WrestleNomics, and I'll let, what I'm done here, I'm probably going to send him a little DM, and I'm going to be like, Brandon, are you going to do something, a little history of the attempts of pro wrestling companies to try and make it to in the Indian market? Because it's never worked. And if WWE can't get it done, how the hell am I supposed to expect that AEW is going to do it? You know what I mean? So I'm going to let that like, this is just it's a gut feeling. It's not my expert analysis, but WWE's penetration of India has never worked. It's never played out perfectly the way they want it. So I'm going to let, hopefully there's someone who can recount this history here for us. Because it's never worked. So, for some reason, Pluggo, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Now, for some reason, it's either like, okay. It is possible, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, guys, gals, non-binary pals, it's possible to understand the plan, but be dissatisfied with the execution. I understand in light of what's come out in the Observer, but I was like, oh, I get it. It was still poorly done. Very, very poorly executed. I would not have finished the show with this. Finished the show in the first overrun, in the history of Dynamite, which was hyped up by Tony Khan. So even at that point, everyone is like, oh shit, there's like 3 minutes left. What are we gonna get? And the lights go down, and you're like, oh shit, here we go. Let's come back on. Because AEW in this situation, if you ask me, is a victim of its own success. Because every time there has been hype where Tony Khan has promised things, where lights go off and lights come back on, there's always something exciting and new. And you're like, oh, so this is how you're ending this big show where everything has been electric throughout. You're ending it on a bit of a whimper. So I can understand why people are disappointed. You can, and I think it is entirely possible to understand the plan and look at the execution and be like, this stunk. I get what you were doing, but it wasn't well executed. Because those things happen in real life everywhere. The path to hell is paved with good intentions. And you can't sell me on this guy. You can't sell me on this guy. Not yet. Not especially after I see those awkward as hell clotheslines that he threw. Well, I'm like, this guy's not ready. This guy is not ready. They're hot-shotting him. They're putting him on too fast. He needs more season. He's not ready. He's not ready. Right now, I see the guy and I'm like, well, this is going to be another wrestler, another super tall freak show wrestler, right? Attraction that is going to fall into the long lineage of Giant Gonzalez's and Great Khali's and Kurgan's and Ron Reese's and Giant Silva's. Although Giant Silva, well, I'll retract a little bit on the Giant Silva though. These huge dudes where people are like, they get pushed because they're big. And then when it's time to actually deliver, perform, it's underwhelming. So I reserve judgment until this guy actually gets into the ring and starts doing stuff, but that was the most awkward clothesline, the most awkward lariat. So you can't come in and tell me, push in hard and tell me, no, this guy's going to be great. I saw nothing to prove otherwise. And I'm going to give him a chance, just like I gave Jade a chance, just like Great O'Khan, where at first, admittedly, I was like, I don't see it. Let him time to grow. Things are coming together. I get it. But right now, Satnam Singh, who? He got nothing for me. Now, if he's going to stand around and be Jay Lethal's heater and just look like a big, strong dude, all good for him. Good for him. That's fine. It all depends how they want to work him, right? Maybe Tony Khan is going to be smart enough to be like, look, I can't put this guy in the ring just yet. I'm not going to make an Omas out of him. It's fine. We'll see what happens. But as it stands, like, I'm going to give the guy a chance. I'm not going to crucify him right off the bat. But you know, just as much as I'm dismissing anyone who's telling me, no, this guy's great. I haven't seen anything. I don't know how anyone can glean that he's going to be great out of what happened. You guys are you guys see some wild, subtle, crazy shit that me and my decades of watching wrestling is unable to pick up. Now, as I said, you know, I wasn't high on Great O'Khan at first. I'm not sitting here saying, I understand that this guy's going to be rotten. What I'm saying is right now, I don't see it. And he might pull up and be extraordinary and be one of the best. He might be the next Paul White as far as big men go. But I would not have ended the show with this. Nick Nutter, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. But I would not have ended the show with this. Do you guys want to know how I would have ended this show, as opposed to having Satnam Singh, who show up doing the Sabu thing? Do you know how I would have ended this electric episode of Dynamite in the most electric way possible? I would have brought out AEW World Champion Adam Page to cut a promo on the big match that he's having on Friday. One 60-second pre-taped interview with Adam Cole plus Excalibur dropping the Rampage show throughout that's all we got for arguably one of the biggest title defenses that Page is going to have in his entire tenure so far. A rematch from a great match in a Texas death match on a live Rampage. And the champ isn't even there. The champ's not there. What are we doing? Have Page come out like last week, where he's pissed off, he's all full of vinegar, and he cuts a scathing promo, and Adam Cole comes out, and have them brawl till the cameras go out, Nitro style. We've stayed as long as we can, folks. We got to cut. We'll see you on Friday. There was no hype for this match. For a world championship match on a live Friday, on a live Rampage on Friday. Plus, the show's not even on at the same time. It's on at 7 instead of 10. What are you doing? You know what this does? It gives credence and proof to everyone who says Tony Khan is not booking his world champion properly. I can't argue against that. I can't. This is an egregious misstep. One pre-recorded promo from Adam Cole was all we got. Wild. You've got a 3-minute overrun. A 3-minute overrun, and you can't bring out your champ in that overrun? To come out, get mad? He's got tools in his head. He comes out with chains or whatever he's going to use on Friday. And he's pissed. He's fed up with Adam Cole. And Adam Cole comes out. Very, very bizarre. Makes no sense to me. I hope the match is going to be good. The match is going to be good. You know why? Because Adam Page is very good. Adam Cole is very good. Two very good pro wrestlers. We know Adam Page performs in these hardcore plunder matches. We know. We saw it a couple of months ago. So we know. We're coming into this match in full confidence. But what you want this Friday to do is attract viewers. Especially because it's not on the same time. It's at 7 instead of 10. You want to do everything you can to get people in. But we'll make time for Satnam Singh. Who? You know, this week I watched a little more WWE because I wanted to continue to see like the fallout from WrestleMania. I wanted to see how things were starting to go. Like I wanted to see Cody. I wanted to see Cody's match with The Miz. Just like get the reassurance with my own eyes that WWE is going to do the right thing and let The Miz lose to Cody, right? And have Cody win his first, because it's WWE. Who knows what they're going to do, right? But Cody went over and I'm like, okay, well, that good, you know, and they're keeping on the Seth Rollins feud, you know. I'm telling you, I'm still feeling the 50-50ing of Cody. It's coming, but look, and I watched last Friday's SmackDown, which was the first SmackDown after WrestleMania, because I was particularly interested in seeing what they were going to do with Charlotte Flair moving forward. And Ronda Rousey comes out to you know, talk. I wouldn't say, like, it's not even cutting a promo at this point. It's like calling her mother on the phone. You know, it's like, hi, Mom, how are you? Yeah, I know, Mom. Look, I want to have another shot at the title, okay? It's not a belt, because belt hold up your pants, okay, Mom? And, So I'm watching. I'm watching for this, and I see it all play out, right? And you know, she challenges. She wants a rematch, and she wants a night quit match. And Charlotte straight up comes on the Titantron and says, "I'm not giving you your match." And I'm like, bravo, good. Don't give her the match. You're the champ. You just beat her. Sure. Plus, boring match. Why would you subject yourself to that, champ? Don't do it. And then the next day on social media, it's official. And it's weird to me. Here's the two things. First of all, I'd like to sit here and tell you, no one in my friends wanted to see Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey, right? No one wanted that. And I can understand why. But it's a match that no one was like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm excited to see it. Everyone was like, no, I don't give a shit. No one wants to see Ronda and Charlotte. No one does. And I agree. But still, we got it at WrestleMania, despite the fact that the match that we all wanted to see was Becky and Ronda. That's what we wanted. But I digress. The idea is that the match at WrestleMania, first and foremost, nobody wanted to see it. And by the reaction that the crowd got, that the reaction that the crowd gave to this match, no one wanted to see it ever again. Like, if WWE was booking like a promoter, kind of like what I was telling earlier, they'd listen to the crowd reaction and be like, we gotta kill this program. This is not working. But no, they're gonna keep stuffing it down our throats because, oh, they probably have these contracts set up with Ronda or whatever the fuck. J.K. Schwal left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, "Good day, Hayes. Can we skip through this SmackDown talk so I don't have to relive it?" Because J.K. Schwal, God bless him, was at SmackDown. Don't worry. I'm not going through SmackDown. It's just here. What I want to point out here, ultimately, is in this circumstance, if WWE insists on not listening to their audience and doing this again, a match that created zero reaction at WrestleMania will create zero reaction wherever else at WrestleMania Backlash. If they're at least insisting on running this match again, at least run the easy story here, which is Charlotte Flair, arrogant champion, refuses to give Ronda Rousey her challenge. So Ronda Rousey goes through a series of matches to position herself as undeniable to the champ, where the champ has to concede. Well, okay then, right? So Ronda builds up sympathy as a babyface. Goddamn, like Ronda needs it, right? She really does. It's not as if everyone is cheering their asses off for Ronda Rousey. They're not. It's such a layup of a story. A layup. And it's frustrating that to see that, to me looking at that and going, why aren't they doing this? It is such an easy thing. No, now the match has been signed. It's official. We're going forward with it. So you know what's going to happen in the next few weeks. In the next few weeks, we're just going to get Ronda and Charlotte cutting promos at each other, and that's it. Neither of them are going to wrestle. They might have one match that's involved that has tag teams that they're going to mix it, but that'll be it. Boring and contrived and stupid. They had the layup story here. Charlotte saying, no, I'm not giving you the challenge. You have to work for it. And Ronda, as a babyface, should be like, I'm going to prove to you that I can do it. But it's WWE, and they don't have a clue anymore. And in that same SmackDown, I couldn't help but laugh. We're setting up Shinsuke Nakamura against Roman. Is that what that's what's happening, right? Shinsuke Nakamura coming out to challenge Roman, although he didn't let the challenge happen, but you know that's what they're doing. This is exactly what I've been telling you guys for so long now, that in WWE you don't when it's your turn, it's your turn. That's all. It's not even a question of who's over, win-loss records, all of that. No, it doesn't matter. Because Shinsuke has been officially 50-50. His win-loss record right now is 50%. How does that make him eligible? And he's been in a tag team. He defended the IC title like once, twice. How does this make him a challenger? No one cares, because we weren't made to care. But now it's Shinsuke's turn. So now you're going to care. And now I see people getting excited. Finally, we're getting Shinsuke back. No, we lost Shinsuke. We lost Shinsuke a long time ago now. That Shinsuke is gone. Whatever you want to, whatever memories you might have of his time in Enochiism, or as the leader of Chaos, or his run in NXT, that guy is gone. He's gone. And WWE buried whatever fan interest was in him. There is no reason to get excited for a Shinsuke Nakamura title shot at this stage, because he's been misused, tossed all over the place. There's just no interest in seeing him challenge Roman, especially because you see it and you're like, oh, Roman's gonna win. And why is that? Because Shinsuke is not a credible challenger. Why is he not a credible challenger? Because he hasn't been positioned that way. Because for the past 2 years, he's been jobbed out. He's been in tag teams. He's been given meaningless runs. It's nothing. The most compelling thing he did was that series of ads with Rick Boogs. No, it's what I've been telling you guys for a long time now, is that there's no mid-card, so there's no title picture to be created. The title picture in WWE is Vince and Bruce going, okay, now it's your turn, and we'll drop you there. That's it. And now people are going to get excited for a Shinsuke Nakamura push, but this is not a push. This is not a push. That's not what a push is. This is going to be Shinsuke, who's going to be put in a winless situation, and then he's going to get shoved back down once the WrestleMania Backlash thing is done. The Cesaro situation. Don't worry about it. It's not a push. Don't get excited. And if anything, however, the Cesaro thing was actually more of a push, because Cesaro was beating Seth Rollins before, right? Wasn't that the order? He was beating Seth Rollins before going after Roman. Then after that, once that was done. Let's talk about wrestler contracts really quickly. There's speculation that Jon Moxley's contract will be coming up sooner than later, by 2023. So there's a lot of speculation going around in regards to, well, is he going to go back to WWE, right? I love this kind of stuff. I really do. This is what makes wrestling exciting, when you're when you're hip to the business. When you go beyond what you just see on TV and you think about the business aspects of everything. This is exciting stuff. I love this stuff. Moxley's contract coming up. And just because of what happened with Cody Rhodes, there is a legitimate seed of doubt that has been placed in the brains of everyone that follows wrestling right now. Because if the Cody Rhodes situation had not happened, if Cody Rhodes had not gone back to WWE, I promise you, there would not be such rampant speculation to the idea that, well, Moxley might go back. But the Cody leaving has created this zone, this area of anything can happen. Because if one of the founders of AEW can hit the bricks, probably the most visible and forward-facing founder of AEW outside of Tony Khan, if he can pack his bags and go to the competition, anyone can. And honestly, they should, because all these wrestlers are little businesses and they have to make good business decisions. So we don't know what, of course, look, you're going to see reports coming up that WWE has been in talks with Jon Moxley, because of course they're going to talk to Jon Moxley. They're going to reach out to him. That doesn't mean he's going to sign, but Moxley is going to entertain an offer. Of course. Why? Because it's good business. Why? Because of course you will. You'll listen to what all sides have to offer. If anything, just for leverage. But that's how it's going to go. So you're going to start hearing those reports. Don't get excited. Because in a normal business environment, that's what happens. You go see the competitor and you're like, well, what do you got? We got this. Oh, thank you. It's not a committal. Of course he's going to talk. All right? Don't be surprised. Now, logically speaking, this all depends, right? Now, there's a lot of stuff that happens in a human's life that can change a direction, right? Because Moxley has been living his best life since professionally, since leaving WWE. He's been able to wrestle wherever he wants. His stock has been raised umpteen times. He's a cornerstone of AEW. He's got an open door invitation to go to Japan. He's working whatever indies he wants. He goes down into the mud and he wrestles down with whoever. Like, this is a guy who wanted to fight This is a guy who wanted to wrestle, wanted to do what he was bred to do, and he's doing it. And you read it in the book, right? If you should read the book, his autobiography. And especially with everything he says in his book, it seems very improbable that he'd go back to WWE. But listen, look, the guy, he becomes a dad, right? He becomes a dad. He had personal struggles, you know, with drinking, and maybe at some point he's like, look, maybe there's certain comforts that I can get by just working WWE instead of going all over the place, right? Maybe. Or maybe he's just really happy with the freedom that he has to be in a high position in AEW and be able to work wherever he wants, then go spend most of the week with Renee and the kid and eat tons of ice cream, as we found out. That's the life, right? You go, you work a big WrestleMania weekend on the indies, you bleed, you know, you slap some hands, you cut a promo on, you know, you work Will Ospreay over the weekend, you fly back home. Like, if you want my take, because honestly, like I said, the Cody thing has proven something that a lot of us old timers have been saying for a long, long time. You can never say never in wrestling. Brett returned to WWE. You know, that, like, you can never. Dusty worked for Vince. Like, there are things you can never say, this will never happen, because wrestling always has this capacity to prove you wrong. So I can understand that, you know, the speculation, if only because of the Cody stuff, right? But if you ask me, having read the book, following, you know, the guy's trajectory and what he's doing, I don't see why he would give up the freedom to do whatever he wants, because clearly that's what it is. Being in these rave matches where people are just fawning over him, and then return to WWE and trust all his creative back to them. Because I don't know how much creative control Cody has. I'm just putting that there. But Moxley handing his creative back over and then hitting the WWE road schedule again, which is grueling. AEW still doesn't have a house show circuit. Don't forget that. They just fly into wherever the show is on Wednesday, and then you're gone. And then you have the next few days off. I'm excited to see how this is going to go. That this is definitely going to be a story that a lot of people are going to follow, and it's all Cody's fault. It's all Cody's fault. It made it all the more interesting and speculatory. And I will never poo-poo on anyone who wants to start talking about the contract situations. Of course, what you want is for a wrestler to do the best choice for them. That's what you want. Whatever John decides to do, I'm in support of it. If he goes back to WWE, it'll be a shame, because that means I won't see him as much, right? Whatever. I'm just a fan. What counts is whatever he's into, right? Right, of course. You're right, Warren. Thank you, Warren. Juice Robinson, New Japan stalwart, super babyface. He was on the Wrestling Observer Live show this week. And he said that his New Japan Pro Wrestling contract expires at the end of this month of April 2022. And he has no plans to travel back to Japan. Now that's very interesting. During the same interview, Robinson also said that he has no more bookings after this weekend's New Japan Strong show. And here's the big one. He has no desire to wrestle. our boy Juice, CJ Parker, hinting at retirement here. Robinson was asked if there's someone on his checklist, like Bryan Danielson, that he still hasn't wrestled, that he would like to wrestle. And Robinson responded with this quote, "No, I don't really have anybody that I want to wrestle. There's nothing that really, I just don't have the urge to wrestle really anymore." Well, now. I've had a very fun relationship with Juice Robinson. My buddy JPQ can attest to this. We've enjoyed Juice maybe for all the wrong reasons. Like I've always had a soft spot for him, and I know a lot of people are extremely hard on him, but you know, I think Juice is one of these guys who hit his ceiling, and you know, the promoter that he works for has seen the ceiling and is like, look, we're not going any further than this. And you know, it's like, well, we don't know what, despite the fact that he seems very over with the Japanese crowds. You feel like he wants a little more. He was probably here in North America sending out some feelers at the same time, and no one is clamoring for some Juice Robinson. You know what I mean? You know, and outside the outrageous gimmicks and all that, you know, that I always thought that was fun. His weirdo outfits and whatnot. I'm completely cool with that. I love it, actually. But Juice is definitely a guy who maybe didn't, you know, had a ceiling, and I think he hit it. And I think he's, you know, he sees the lay of the land. He probably talked to some people, sent out some feelers, and he's like, look, there's nothing more I can do. I'm just going to call it a night. But I will always 100% respect what this guy did. He was in NXT. It was like, no, this isn't going to work for me, brother. And he bets on himself. He goes to Japan and completely reinvents himself. And he has a good, solid, decent, lower mid-card career in Japan. He really does. And probably, you know, he'd probably want a little more out of it, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when the interviews start coming out. We'll see how that goes. But as it stands, I think Juice Robinson has a lot to be proud about. Leaving NXT, he was leaving NXT and redefining himself before it was cool, you know? Before there was an out with AEW. He took the hard road. It's like, I'm going to go work in Japan. Christ, I mean, that takes guts. It really does. So if he wants to, look, can't say I blame him. I kind of feel he's done everything he could do. Outside just, you know, continuing to wrestle, being a solid mid-card act in New Japan, because, you know, I don't see how, you know, I don't see him in AEW. I don't see what he could bring to the table that it isn't already there. In WWE, he'll be lost. You know, there's really nothing for him. And he said in the interview at some point, he said, I'd be a good stay-at-home husband. I'm sure he will. Tony's fine. Tony's got the bright future ahead of her. Good for him. Work on other projects, do other shit. I mean, look, and if he's lost the fire and he doesn't feel, and he's like, look, I don't feel, what's the quote? He says, I just don't have the urge to wrestle really anymore. I mean, we've heard of people fall out of love with it, right? Step away for a while. Doesn't mean you can't come back. Oh, we've seen that a lot. And since we're on the topic of New Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling Hyper Battle 2022. I gotta talk about this before we wrap things up. You know why? Because I am stoked. Stoked to be able to sit here in front of my microphone and my camera that I record the video on, that you can see on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, and also on Spotify. That I can sit here and chat with you excitedly about New Japan again. New Japan has been such a chore over the past 18 to 24 months. The pandemic hit it hard. It was difficult to watch. The booking was rough. The wrestlers catching COVID and flipping the cards around. It's been difficult. I watched Hyper Battle 2022 from top to bottom, and it's one of the, and it is the first New Japan show in a long time that I can say this was good. This was a good wrestling show, and I'm excited about New Japan again. And look, the New Japan Cup started sowing the seeds for what we got at Hyper Battle 2022. Exciting main events, good stuff, peppered with storytelling, few things happening here and there, all culminating to the Hyper Battle show. I'm like, this is great. This is really great. Everything connected. All the dots connected to this point. The New Japan Cup stuff built to this, and it was done really well. And it's starting to feel like itself again. Starting to feel like New Japan. The arenas are full. The audiences still can't react. There's still no cheering or chanting. There's still none of that. They're still under that weird, you can come, you can sit down, but wear your mask and don't say anything. Just clap your hands. Like, that's kind of weird at this point. Because I don't think that's saving anyone really from COVID. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But it's so much better. And you can tell the wrestlers are into it. Everyone is feeling it. And everything on this card served its purpose. Look, don't get me wrong. This isn't a card full of 4-star, 5-star matches that I'm like, you gotta watch, But if you want a solid, 3.5 hour card, easily digestible, with everything in its right place, doing exactly what it needs to do in that position, entertaining you in the meantime, what more do you want? I want to say hi to YouTube fan. Nice to see you. And no, I am not. He'd want to be related to me though, because I'm a cool guy. The card started off with an 8-man tag match. Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Jado, plus Hiroshi Tanahashi, defeated the Bullet Club setup of Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, Gedo, and Yujiro Takahashi. The Tokyo Beam! This match basically, it served to put over the Jado-Gedo rivalry. Jado-Gedo, excuse me, Jado-Gedo. I don't know why Jado. I always flip-flop between Jado and Jado. I don't know why on the pronunciation. But Jado-Gedo rivalry. And I feel it's going to end with a prelim singles match sometime down the road. I'm excited to see that. Chase does most of the work here in this match, as you would assume. Working, bumping. But the Guerrillas of Destiny and Tanahashi get the win. And the Guerrillas of Destiny get their official Hantai t-shirts, the red and white, No More Bullet Club, and they're officially in the New Japan Army, the Hantai Army, showing, and they're symbolically, these t-shirts were given to them by Hiroshi Tanahashi, Ace of the Universe, the good guy. So if Tanahashi is saying these guys are trustworthy, then we're good. the face turn is complete. Tama Tonga looks good in red and white. Not gonna lie. Next match, we had the LIJ setup of Shingo and Tetsuya Naito that they defeated Will Ospreay and Aaron Henare of the United Empire, of course. Fun little tag match. Ended with Shingo Takagi putting Henare away with the Made in Japan. Now, Kevin Kelly in the match, and this was a very interesting factoid, mentioned that the Pumping Bomber, which is like Shingo's signature move that is used to put away lesser opponents, it was used on Henare, but Henare kicked out. So, Kevin Kelly underscored the fact that the Pumping Bomber couldn't put Henare away, but the Made in Japan did. He needed the Made in Japan to put Aaron Henare away, which a couple of years ago wouldn't have been the case. So, see guys, when I tell you, how sometimes it's relevant to booking and important to get layers or, lanes, not layers, but lanes. Henare is out of, the prelim jobber lane. Now he's, slowly moving into a bit of a higher spot on the mid card because now we need the big moves to put him away. And so these things are significant to storytelling. It's good stuff. I like it. Fun little match. And we had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title match. 6 or 9. Team made up of Taguchi and Master Wato defeated Bullet Club's cutest tag team, El Fantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. Entertaining, serving as the comedy match at the same time with lots of great nonsense that really played into the personalities of Taguchi and El Fantasmo, who are very good at that kind of stuff. There's even a spot where Fantasmo is fighting off Taguchi and Wato at the same time, and they're in the corner, and Fantasmo, I think he kicks Wato, who collapses on top of Taguchi in a 69 position, and it's that kind of stuff. But good stuff and a good final stretch. Taguchi is very good. Wato is getting up there, and Ishimori, ELP, love all these guys. Very talented wrestlers. But the match ends when Taguchi pulls down his drawers to sit bare-assed on El Fantasmo's face for the win. Pro wrestling. Then we had the King of Pro Wrestling title in a no-rope ring-out match, so sumo rules, where Taichi defeated Toru Yano to become the new King of Pro Wrestling. And you know what? This was fine and just short enough to not be offensive. Per usual, the stipulations are voted by the audience, and it was sumo rules. So they took the ropes off of the ring, and they did all the the ceremonial sumo stuff, and not even have as many shenanigans as you would expect out of a Toru Yano match. The ref took, I think, the biggest bump I've seen from a ref in a while, and he just like flew. He flew off the ring into the barricades. That was a huge thing. Taichi throws Yano out, and then after the match, so Taichi is the new King of Pro Wrestling, and he's got the trophy, and he's saying, you know what, I'm going to bring some respect on this, and I'm going to main event with this. I'm going to main event with the King of Pro Wrestling. And everyone's like, pfft. And then he calls out Shingo Takagi. He's like, holy shit. And they are going to main event a show with this, the Hiroshima April 25th show. Hiroshima or Hiroshima? What is the correct pronunciation? Hiroshima? Hiroshima? Sanada is in the ring. He has to relinquish the IWGP United States title because of he suffered an orbital bone fracture against Will Ospreay. And there's no timeline on his return really as of now. But an orbital bone injury can be like anywhere from up to 8 to 12 weeks. So it sucks because it was Sanada's first singles win in New Japan. So title, I mean, not first win, his first singles title in New Japan. So that kind of stinks for him. And he's in the ring and he's saying, I think the best thing to do is to relinquish the title to the man who had it before me, which would be Hiroshi Tanahashi. But then Ospreay comes out and he says that he's been screwed up and down the card, during the New Japan Cup and so on and so forth. He says, I should be getting the U.S. title, so hand that over to me. Hiroshi Tanahashi comes out and he says in English, I have a good idea. Why don't you and I fight for the vacant title? Well, he didn't say that in English, but he said, I have a good idea. And that's what we're getting. So that's what we're going to be building towards. Tanahashi versus Ospreay for the U.S. title. Then we had the never open weight title where Evil successfully retained his title against Hiromu Takahashi. I really liked this match. And I've been saying this about Evil matches on the reg. And I'm okay with that. And that means that they're doing something better than just having him run around doing House of Torture shenanigans, right? The story of Hiromu losing his mind when Evil turned on LIJ is still very present here. And here in this match, both guys work to control the pace of the match, which of course, a faster pace is good for Hiromu, while the opposite for Togo. Hiromu does the apron sunset bomb on Evil, but onto Dick Togo, who was on the floor. And we get some shenanigans from Dick Togo, but they're not overbearing or huge. It's not like, just taking over the entire pace of the match. It really felt like worked into the story instead of dragging everything down, which I really appreciated. Hiromu reverses out of an Everything is Evil onto both of the lads, and he does the Everything is Evil onto Dick Togo, which was pretty good. He hits the time bomb. Both Evil and Hiromu trade low blows. There's a really fun final sequence where Hiromu runs into an Everything is Evil, which was pretty good, and that's where Evil gets the win. This kind of House of Torture stuff, I can stomach. I can go with this. Especially if Evil is wrestling, as opposed to just doing nonsense, back rakes, eye pokes, shenanigans. I can go for this. I can do that. I enjoyed this match a great deal. Now, of course, the question is Hiromu, are we edging Hiromu towards a heavyweight run at this point? Is this where we're going slowly but surely? Because there have been interviews where Hiromu said, I don't want to transition into heavyweight, right? You can understand. Hiromu, though, he is so crazy over. People love him. He is an attraction. He's a star. He's a draw. I'm convinced he pushes a lot of merch. I don't have the numbers, but they do make a lot of merch and limited time merch stuff with Hiromu. So I'm convinced he generates, generates income. And maybe these interviews where he was telling I'm never going to go become a heavyweight, maybe this kind of happened before he broke his neck. And maybe he's also realizing that maybe he's going to realize that he's starting to realize that he has to transition his style because he won't be able to work the, pardon the pun, breakneck style that he's been doing without risking another severe injury. And working a heavyweight style is a little more privy to that as opposed to, you know, doing shit that puts your neck in peril, you know, all the time. So, you know, maybe not this year, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Hiromu Takahashi start putting on a little weight, bulking up, and next thing you know, he's hit the 225, and he's a heavyweight, because he's the only... It's not unlike Will Ospreay, the year Ospreay won the New Japan Cup, where Ospreay was, when he was still a junior, was defeating heavyweights right and left. That's kind of what Hiromu did in the New Japan Cup this year, and now he transitioned into a feud with Evil, which is feels kind of wrapped up, but, well, you know, he's going to stay a junior for a while. Still, it's not going to be a plan maybe for this year, but let's have this conversation again next year. Let's see how this goes. Because he's not in the... He'll probably be in the Best of Super Juniors tournament, which is upcoming. Very excited about that. He's definitely going to be in that. So I think that might even be very telling as to what the next step is going to be. But I wouldn't be surprised if he transitions to the heavyweights. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because then he will be able to work a style that will not completely destroy his body or do more nap streams. IWGP Tag Team title match. The United Empire, made up of Great-O-Khan and Jeff Cobb, defeated Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi to become the new tag team champs. Very good. Very strong tag team match. Goto and Yoshihashi grew on me as a tag team. I was able to get into that. Part of the story here was that, you know, Yoshihashi had never defeated Cobb in tag team matches, right? Or in any match. And it continued here. And Great-O-Khan, right, comes to the ring with his letter of appreciation from the Nakahara police station. Did you guys hear this story? I don't think I talked about it when it happened. But the Great-O-Khan apparently stopped an attempted abduction in somewhere in the Nakahara prefect in Japan. Let me read that. Let me read that off of 411 Mania. Tokyo Sports reports that New Japan Pro Wrestling villain, I like this, Great-O-Khan recently proved himself to be a hero in real life, saving a young girl from an attempted abduction. As a result of his actions, he was given a letter of appreciation by the Nakahara police station in the Kanagawa Prefecture. I'm sorry, the Kanagawa Prefecture. I said the Nakahara Prefecture, Kanagawa Prefecture. Apologies. Gonna have to brush up on my knowledge of Japanese prefectures. There you go, Warren. Okan passed in front of a restroom at JR Musahi Kozugi Station in Kawasaki City at around 8:59 p.m. on March 29. He saw an intoxicated man harassing the girl and grabbing her shoulders. He told him to stop and then asked for help. She told him to stop and then asked for help. So Okan grabbed the man with one hand and stopped the incident. The girl's mother had been in the restroom at the time. He reportedly calmed down the girl by asking about pancakes and telling her he was from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And here's what Okan said about the incident, quote, "Don't do such a big deal. It happened to happen near me. It's something I do every day to take down a man. Instead, the little child looked at me and said, help. New Japan Pro Wrestling has the rules of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and society has the rules of society. I am fighting after observing my rules. This time, I followed the rules of society and kept my justice. Until then, my way of life will not change. I will continue to slaughter wrestlers from tomorrow, and if anyone asks for help, I will generously lend a hand because it will expand the territory of the Empire. God, fucking fantastic. I wouldn't be a person who would normally give my name, and I wouldn't receive it, but I thought that if I received it, I would spread the awareness of crime prevention, so I decided to ask for it. It would be more valuable than a championship belt. God damn. And then during the match, or after the match, when they won, well, because the thing is, now you got Great O'Khan coming to the ring with the framed letter of appreciation, which is fantastic. How can you not love a heel who's right? You know, I love this shit. But strong match. Yoshihashi hits a destroyer on Jeff Cobb, okay? All right? Jesus Christ. The Chaos dudes hit the Shout-2 on Cobb, but Great O'Khan breaks it up. Yoshihashi works hard on Cobb's knee, torques it into a submission, but again, Great O'Khan is there to break all this stuff up. The match comes to an end with Great O'Khan hitting a wrist lock eliminator and a Tour of the Islands by Cobb, and we have new champs. And what was great, you know, about the statement and the pancake stuff is when after the match, Great O'Khan is cutting a promo and Goto is on his back and says, "Oh, are you sad? Would you like some pancakes?" And I'm like, God, this guy. Just soaring. Fantastic shit. Love it. Good match. New Japan getting me excited about their tag team division again. Jesus Christ. IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. El Desperado, El Champion, successfully defended against Show. This was a fight. It wasn't even a wrestling match. It was a fight. I liked it. One where El Desperado played defense throughout the match. Show attacked before the bell. They brawled on the floor. El Desperado ate a chair right on the dome as he was going for a dive. That's the sound effect. Despy is on the apron. Show charges at him, and Desperado, he flies off the apron onto the barricade hard, like hip first. Just wild shit. Show does a reverse double wrist lock. They're just to smatter some wrestling in here, you know. El Desperado fights back, hits a tope con hilo, and onto Show and into the barricade again. There's a lot of back and forth. El Desperado hits a spine buster, tries to go for Pinche Loco, but it's avoided with a low blow, because of course, House of Torture, whatnot. Show goes for his wrench, but El Desperado hits a back pile driver instead. I think it might have even been on the wrench. Straight jacket pile driver by Show, which is something you don't see every day. Pinche Loco finally lands for the win and the Undertaker cover. I love that El Desperado does that. You know, he puts the hands over and then love it. After the match, Taiji Ishimori comes out to challenge for the title. Commentary's been hyping Best of Super Juniors coming up, right? And saying, "Oh, we're gonna get juniors coming in from all across the world." And I'm like, finally, all right, now we're cooking. This is the New Japan I love, right here. And then Francesco Akira shows up. They do the lights off, like the lights off, lights on thing, the Sabu thing to pop him in. And I swear everyone in the audience is like, who? Who? Francesco Akira. Who? Francesco Akira. Who? All right. I'm keeping that bit for Singh. Just so you know. But yeah, Italian wrestler, Italian cruiserweight, super young. Like he's like in his early 20s. He's like 22, 23, something like that. Shows up and he's a member of the United Empire. He unzips his jacket. Like I knew who he was just because I've seen a couple of things out of him, but I'm like, it took me a minute. I'm like, wait, who's this? And I think actually it's when Chris Charlton called it, I think, and he said, "Oh, this Francesco Akira. And oh shit. Okay, I know who this guy is. But they were playing it off like it was this big reveal, and I was like hadn't been, I don't know, like Keno, you know, like holy shit, or Orange Cassidy. It's like fuck, what's going on? But Akira shows up. He's a member of the United Empire as well, which is cool. Continues to expand. It's a bit of a messy surprise, but still cool. But it's also setting the stage for the for Best of Super Juniors, and I kind of like that. But clearly, they're going to at least try to get an Ishimori. They're going to get an Ishimori El Desperado match before Best of Super Juniors kicks in. I'm excited for the tournament. And then they announced that the G1 is back to being in the summer, back in July. Now, earlier this week, independent wrestler Chris Dickinson announced that he was he had signed with New Japan. That he had officially signed with New Japan, and that he entertained offers, but New Japan Pro Wrestling is where he's going to call home. And he's been a staple on the strong shows or whatnot. But now he's like, no, brother, I've signed with Japan now. So I'm like, Chris Dickinson in the G1 2022 sounds perfect to me. Sounds like a good time to me. If you're not familiar with Chris Dickinson, huge guy, referred to as the Dirty Daddy. Huge guy, tremendous talent, like a tremendous talent, super strong, and a guy who lays it in. Like we were talking about this, Sean Taggart and I on Hot Chicks and Hand Dogs this week. New Japan is where Chris Dickinson is going to flourish. Like there's no other place that he could go where he would have such control over everything. He's going to flourish there. He's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited. Really excited for Chris Dickinson. And if he's going to be in the G1, And the evening capped off with the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship being defended. Kazuchika Okada retained against Zack Sabre Jr., the winner of the New Japan Cup 2022. Fantastic match. And you know what? Zack Sabre Jr., man, just delivers every time. When it's big time matches, he's there. Tournament matches, he's there. He works the arm. Does a great spot at some point. He's got the hanging arm bar over the ropes on Okada, and they topple over. But Junior hangs on. Sabre hangs on, and he maintains control, and he's on the apron, and Okada is like, he's dangling over the apron onto the floor, and Sabre still has it. Just fantastic stuff. Sabre gets flapjacked, but Okada's selling the arm now. So it's a target. And you know what that means? That means Zack Sabre Jr. is going to pick it apart. But, you know, Okada gets some stretches in of his own. He works the ribs. Then they trade holds. Both of them. Cobra twists, octopuses, money clips. There's a dropkick by Okada. But Zack Sabre Jr. rolls him into a hell of a stretch. Like a Rings of Saturn kind of stretch, and the audience gasps at it. And I'm looking at this and like, this is where I know I'm watching a great match when the clear underdog has the audience reacting, gasping, you know, convincing you that he could win this. Fantastic shit. Spinning tombstone, spinning rainmaker, but Okada's his arm hurts. He goes for the rainmaker proper. Zack driver. Close near fall. We go into a Euro clutch. The Fujiwara arm bar. Zack Sabre Jr. avoids a landslide, but he runs into the drop kick. Rainmaker attempt is reversed into a rear naked choke. Zack Sabre Jr. does a leaping DDT into a Zack driver. Okada blocks it, reverses that into a landslide, hits the Rainmaker. Fantastic match. Fantastic match. I really liked it. Match of the year, I don't know. You know, on the long list. Very, very, I'm telling you guys, good old-fashioned New Japan show. Top to bottom, great stuff. Everything delivered. Some stuff over-delivered. Like the opening match is over-delivered. No reason for them to have been that good. Good stuff. And after, Okada calls out Tetsuya Naito to challenge for the title. So we're going to be getting that at Wrestling Dontaku. It's a dome show on top of that, so they're going to go with a big money match like that. I'm excited. I'm excited for New Japan again. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, it feels good to be excited for New Japan again. It really, really sincerely does. Get into New Japan again! It's time to get back in. That was the weekly wrestling inspection. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed tonight's edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, because I sure did. I had a good time talking about pro wrestling and wrestling matches and Satnam Singh. Who? I want to thank everyone who popped in tonight, who joined us live here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. If you're still here, leave a like. But I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jonas Tiger, for joining tonight. Thank you for popping in. It's never too late. It's always appreciated. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, thank you very much. And if you're listening to this on demand on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of Satnam Singh. Who? Or anything else we discussed, or even stuff that we didn't discuss. Drop a comment in the chat if you're listening to the voice on demand, the video on demand. But my voice is also on demand anyway. I appreciate you tons. Remember, members only tomorrow, 7 p.m. We're watching Rampage all together. So if you want to become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show and you want to come get some instant feedback, some live reactions to the live Rampage tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, become a member right now. Jump in. It's a little bit of support for the show. I appreciate it. But then it's even more fun sharing all these great moments with you great members out there. Thank you all very much for joining me this evening, or whenever you're listening. I appreciate it a great deal. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.